I've done stand-up like on and off for the past 10, 12 years, but I've done it not enough where you're going to hear the same jokes like all the other comedians. You'll hear fresh jokes or really old jokes. So I was born and raised in New Jersey, and the only people, I'm pretty proud of it, but the only people that ever talk shit about people from New Jersey are people from Ohio and Miami. And it's like, I don't know why they have such a problem, they all move here. But I've lived in New York since 1999, so I'm like a thrice New Yorker. We used to escape on the PATH train on Christopher Street back in the day, and I always thought that the turnstile at the PATH train was magical because we would be upstairs, like down at the pier, and all these queens were pier dancing and voguing and all that, and as soon as they went through the turnstile, they magically turned into like this butch thug. It was pretty amazing. It was like they would be voguing upstairs and then they'd walk through and all of a sudden, boom, they were straight again. So the turnstiles are pretty magical in the PATH train. But I grew up in a small town called Harrison, right next to Newark, and people from Jersey. People from Jersey? No, they just moved. Amanda just moved. And I really had no choice to be gay because not only did I have an Uncle Butch who had a dog named Bear, but my father was president of this Italian gentleman's club right across the street, and it was called the Pleasure Club. Oh. So I really had no choice but to be like a deviant. So it's kind of exciting. And speaking of bears, I was a bear before it was trendy. I had low self-esteem in the 90s and the early 2000s, and then once the bears became popular, I'm like the bear DJ of New York City. So. I'm looking at my notes because it's been a while. But working in nightlife, it's hard to meet somebody. I'm single, in case anyone's interested. Wow. But it's hard to meet somebody because when you're a DJ, the only people who wait for you till the end of your shift are either drug dealers, drug addicts, or alcoholics. And I'd rather be the drug addict and alcoholic in a relationship. So it doesn't work out the other way. So does anybody remember who their first crush was? I mean, I'm a little older, I'm an elder gay, so my crush is from the 80s, but shout out your crush when you were a kid.
Matt Dillon.
Oh, Matt Dillon.
Scott Bale.
Scott Bale was one of mine, yeah, thank you. Well, my first crush was, does anybody remember Little House on the Prairie? All right, there are some old people in here, good, okay. I had a crush on Albert. Oh. And the craziest part is, I liked him, but then there was that one episode where he had the morphine addiction, and I completely fell in love. And that informed my relationships in the future because my last two boyfriends, one was already a meth addict and one became a meth addict after we dated. So I kind of have that complex of wanting to save people. So it's kind of interesting. But Albert basically ruined my life. So I also noticed that, I don't know if this ever happens to any of you guys, but you'll meet somebody who, you just want to be their friend, you find them really cool, but they are obsessed with you and they're in love with you. And then you'll meet another person who just wants to be your friend that you're obsessed and in love with. And I want to create an invention where you can extract the obsession from one person and sneakily inject it into the person that you're in love with. So that's kind of perfect. The only problem is you have to keep that other person around to keep getting the juice from them to put in your boyfriend. So it's kind of like a throuple, or like, is that how open relationships work? I don't know. So I've been working at Stonewall a little over 10 years. I've been DJing for over 20 years, so I'm definitely a gay elder. But one of the things I do here is I give Stonewall history tours to high school kids in the neighborhood and like in Brooklyn and stuff like that. And they all have gay-straight alliances, which when I was a kid, the closest thing to a gay-straight alliance was seeing one of your fellow students' penises in the locker room. But now they actually learn about the history and all that, so it's kind of exciting to teach these young kids, and they're activists and they're very, into furthering the cause and all that. But the one thing that I really like to share with them is, everybody talks about Marsha P. Johnson, everybody talks about Sylvia Rivera, who did amazing things for the LGBT movement back in the day. But a lot of people don't talk about Stormy DeLarverie, who was noted as the biracial lesbian who threw the first punch back on the riots in June of 1969. And I used to work at a bar restaurant in Chelsea called East of 8th, and Stormy used to live in the Chelsea Hotel back then. And she used to frequent the bar, and her favorite thing to drink was Absolute on the Rocks. And every now and then she would drink a little too much, and I'd have to either walk her home to the Chelsea Hotel, or I'd have to like peer out and make sure she got home okay. But she used to adopt all of us, and she used to, we were all her kids. And she told me one day, she was like, come here. And I'm like, okay. She's like, Chauncey, if anybody ever gives you a problem, you let me know. I'm like, okay, Stormy, okay. You know, she was a little tipsy. I was a little tipsy. It was after my shift. She's like, no, if anybody ever gives you a problem, you let me know. I'm like, okay, Stormy, I get it. And she goes, she bent over, she pulled up the bottom of her pants, and there was a gun on a holster. And I never served her more than 2 absolute on the rocks after that. But yeah, so it's been an interesting time working in the city for this many years, and I'm really excited to do stand-up again, and I want to thank Poppy for letting me have the opportunity. And I want to thank, there's a few of you here that came here specifically for me, and I really appreciate it. It was just my birthday. I just turned 4 dozen, and this is kind of an extension of my birthday, so thank you very much.